The ANC step-aside rule is once again in the spotlight after KwaZulu-Natal's provincial elective conference at the weekend. Limpopo also wants this rule scrapped. That's the ANC in Limpopo. Some leaders, including the suspended Secretary-General Ace Magashule, have been barred from taking up their roles due to this rule. The matter is expected to be discussed at the Limpopo ANC Special Provincial General Council today. This ahead of the party's National Policy Conference at the weekend. My colleague, reporter Moloko Moloto, is covering this story for us, catching up with the ANC in Limpopo province this afternoon. Moloko, a very good afternoon. Well, Limpopo as well, joining in with KwaZulu-Natal, saying it's time that we set aside the step-aside rule.
Good afternoon, Braden. Indeed, the African National Congress in the northernmost province of Limpopo is today holding this special provincial general council meeting. Essentially, it is a meeting of branch leaders, primarily to prepare themselves for a policy position as the province ahead of this weekend's National Policy Conference. And of course, it's coming hot on the heels of a provincial meeting that elected the new leaders in KwaZulu-Natal. We have already heard some pronouncements specifically on this controversial step-aside rule. The KZN is saying that it actually doesn't even have to be reviewed. It must be scrapped in totality. Of course, this province of Limpopo was affected by this step-aside rule. At some point, the deputy provincial chairperson, as well as the treasurer at the time, were ordered to step aside, but seemingly that really caused some disagreement within the rank and file of the ANC. Some people saying it's being implemented selectively and it's used as a tool to prevent those with an interest to stand for position. Obviously, that is not the only issue that is up for discussion. For instance, I was just reading some of the resolutions of the ANC in the province. You remember that in June they held the elective conferences. Some of the resolutions are quite interesting. For instance, they are talking about the fact that people who are beneficiaries of BEE and the party's leaders should refrain from showing opulence in public. But also what caught my attention as well, Braden, was that the party is saying actually they want the wearing of party regalia to be prohibited in taverns. So just how they are going to be enforcing those will be interested. But let me bring into this conversation the provincial chairperson of the ANC, who also happens to be the premier of the province. Chair, thank you so much for making time. This contentious step-aside rule, some of the regional leaders in this province are also joining KZN to say, scrap it. As far as you are concerned, has it been implemented fairly?
Not, whether it was implemented fairly or not, I can't make a judgment there because it was never tested. But what we are saying is that it is not achieving the intended results. What it was intended to achieve when we came up with it at NASREC is not exactly what we are seeing out there. And the other fact is that we need, if we have to continue with it, if our policy conference here decide that we recommend that we continue with it, if we have to continue with it, it has to be refined so that we can take out, minimize all elements of ambiguity within it. Because as it was being implemented now, we were refining it, trying to review, refine it, whilst we were continuing implementing it at the same time. So I don't think we have done justice to what it was supposed to do.
One of the things that you said when you were opening this particular Congress in the morning, you actually were talking about the fact that the ANC has been infiltrated by careerists, people who are all for themselves. This is a lamentation that's been there for many years. Is the ANC really failing, perhaps, to scan the members who are joining? It seems as if you are helpless.
No, we are not absolutely not helpless. When you say many, many years, I don't know what that is supposed to mean.
Well, in your discussion document, you are recognizing that former President Nelson Mandela spoke about this in 1997.
Yes, 1997. Oh, well, if it is many, many years in social development, then I'm no longer a social scientist. But in terms of experience, that cannot be said to be many, many years.
Yeah, but how do you stop it, especially because you say it's eroding the values of the ANC?
Yes, but yes, we are working at dealing with that. That is why we were emphasizing on the issue of political or what I called the development of pure consciousness, proper political consciousness, that political consciousness that will make our people grounded in terms of theory, and also develop what we call revolutionary morality, that discipline that you need in the cadre of the African National Congress. That's the only way. If we invest a lot of efforts in that, we'll be able to deal with this ugly monster within our organization.
Yeah. Sir, we are seeing the cost of living is rising throughout the country. The price of petrol, the price of food, a lot of people are really going through a difficult time. And we had the former president of the ANC, Thabo Mbeki, saying seemingly there's no plan to get people out of the morass of poverty. What should be the plan going into this national conference, something that will emerge with tangible solutions?
This like a football match. If you are outside, you blame the coach all the time. But if you are given a responsibility to go and coach that team, it's a different ball game altogether. Here we are dealing with societal issues, problems of the society. We are not dealing with mathematical problems. We've got, it's not like there is no strategy. Each and every province has got industrial policy strategies, it has got economic development strategies. Nationally, we do have national development strategies. We've got, a number of policies that we developed to come and deal with these problems. But given the current material conditions, the goalposts are expanding and shifting all the time, The 4IR, comes with its own robots, which takes people's jobs, and you get the issue of Russia and Ukraine, which affects fuel. It's not a South African phenomenon only. And the fact that our economy is dependent on other economies of the world, it also affects.
Apologies for that. We just lost the sound there as Delma Tabate was continuing to respond to another question from our colleague Moloko Moloto in Limpopo. The ANC, they're holding a special provincial policy conference, and the matter that's really a focus, or one of the focus issues, is around the step-aside resolution that the ANC adopted at its NASREC National Conference way back in 2017. Now, Limpopo also raising its voice, saying that the ANC needs to review this step-aside rule. The KwaZulu-Natal ANC that's finished its provincial elective conference at the weekend, electing a completely new set of provincial executive officials, is saying this rule must be scrapped. So we'll keep on following that development for you here, because, of course, the African National Congress is the country's governing party.